my mentor says, Jonathan, you need the people that are already working on, the people that are already getting therapy, the people that are already working on trying to help themselves, the people that are already going for walks, the people that are already trying to, eat better, the people that are already coming to the gym. Focus on trying to help people that are already working on trying to help themselves, and you'll be more successful because the battle's halfway there. That's the beginning.
Oh, have you seen me doing that?
Yeah.
I'm here with, in reality, my first guest, Jonathan, the owner of Sanctuary Gym here in Friendswood. John, go ahead and tell me.
First guest, my
Yeah,
man. Good to be here, Kevin.
It's you, man.
Good to be here. Glad I could offer some insight on whatever we're about to talk about. So, looking forward to our conversation.
So, just for starters, where'd you grow up?
So, my name is Jonathan Jaquay, owner of Sanctuary Gym. I am 40 years old, going to be 41 this year. Yeah. I got a couple extra gray hairs because of that.
Can't see them.
Yeah. So, born and raised in Danbury, Texas, about 25 minutes south of here between Alvin and Angleton. If you blink and you're driving on 35, you'll miss it. Danbury is a town of probably about 1,600, maybe 1,700 people. We had a 2A school. There was 63 people in my graduating class, and I was number 62 out of 63, if that tells you anything.
Well, we've all been there.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, you have three different types of people. People either graduate high school and they go to work, they go to college, or they go to the military. I was never a go to college guy. I knew that was never going to be my thing. So college was just, I didn't really apply myself in high school because I knew after high school, I was going to work, and all of the math and chemistry and geometry that I took twice, and the Spanish 1 that I took twice, and the Spanish 2 that I took twice, and the chemistry that I took twice, it wasn't going to apply to mowing grass.
Yeah, no, I get.
You don't need it when you're pushing a lawnmower and mowing grass and painting stripes on a street. So that's about the extent of my, growing up.
So it was just high school workforce.
High school, right into work. I mean, I've been working since you were legally able to work. My dad has always been an entrepreneur, so he's always owned some type of business. So his first business that he owned, he was we were doing apartment clean outs. So they'd build a big old apartment, and then we would clean it out, take it to a dumpster, and then, or we would load up a trailer with the leftovers and then take it to the dump. So that was the first, I think I was doing that at 14 years old. And then
so it was like junk removal type.
Yeah, junk removal stuff. Okay. When the apartment complex was built, all of the leftovers on the inside, we would take that out. I mean, I probably hated that more than anything I've ever done. I mean, because you're 15 years old, and it's like
at 15, you shouldn't like
sheetrock. Yeah, I mean, it's you name it, it's construction. So now that I think about it, I've probably been in some sort of construction type work or some sort of construction type role or work since I've been 15. Because I went from that right into doing. Then I got to really good at actually working a backhoe.
Okay.
So we started installing septic systems. So septic systems we dig it down. Then I have to level out the ground.
Well, especially out there,
yeah,
because that's what's needed out there.
Yeah, because I mean you're basically digging for modular homes or mobile homes, and then you're having to put septic systems in the ground. So I did that, and then I did lawn care maintenance for a while. That was probably one of my favorite jobs besides what I do now. Lawn care maintenance because it's instant gratification. Like you see a yard, you mow it, yard looks good now. It's done right now, instant results. So
you were that meme, just standing there looking at your work.
Yeah. Standing there with your white New Balance with a little bit of green on them from the grass and
a little bit of green.
A little bit of green.
They are green now.
Yeah. So construction was kind of always been my thing. And then whenever I was 20 years old, I was at the gym working out. And the guy that wound up actually being my boss later on, he comes walking up to me and he goes, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 20. He goes, "When do you turn 21? And I said, "In 2 months." So he throws his business card down and it says Captain Baldwin. And I was like, Captain Baldwin? I was like, I don't understand. What is this? He goes, "When you turn 21, come find me. I got a job for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I turned 21 and I was like, what makes you approach me? And he goes, See, in a gym setting, the gym setting has always been like I wasn't always outgoing, and I wasn't always like super friendly. I mean, I've always been friendly, but I wasn't like a people person.
Okay.
Like if you knew me 20 years ago compared to now, not even the same person. And so he just walked up to me and he said, I just noticed everybody in the gym like always walks up to you and you always help them. And I work for I'm captain of the Strategic Petroleum Security Police Force in Freeport. And we're looking at starting a personal training program. You would be training guys to pass their physical fitness test. If they fail their physical fitness test, you would create a 90-day remedial program to make them pass
remedial training. Yep.
Yeah, and turned 21. I went in there, got hired on, and I started the personal training process back in 2007. So I've been a trainer since '06, and I worked there from 2007 to 2011. So I was really, 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 and I just really, really good at it. And I think, I used to think that personal training was easy. All you had to do was care. And then the reality, as life happens, you realize it's not that easy because most people don't care. And if you and the reason why I was so good at it, it's because in my younger years, like 18 to about 26, I used to say I struggled with depression. I battled depression. And as I've gotten older, I changed it from struggling with depression to struggling with situational sadness. It wasn't like I was clinically depressed.
Yeah.
I was sad because of what was going on in my life. And at the time, like looking back, I couldn't understand. Like I would be at the gym working out, or I would be like in multiple places doing stuff, and I would be squatting, and you could probably relate to this. Like when you've had like a really rough day, or you feels like your world is falling apart, and you're just in the gym, and I would be working out with my guys, and tears would be streaming down my face because I was going through a divorce, or my mom and dad got divorced, or my pastor died, or my family completely like split apart, and I didn't know like what to do. I didn't know how to navigate through those emotions or through those feelings. And so as a young man, 19, 20, 21 years old, you're just trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what, figure it out.
Yeah, no one teaches you how to figure it out.
Yeah.
They just tell you to do it.
Just figure it out. And so here I am.
Especially as men.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And here I am at 20, 21 years old, struggling and trying to figure it out. And I could not understand why, for the life of me, that I would be at the gym with tears streaming down my face, and not one person would say, hey,
you okay?
You okay? Not one. And then it grew into like really, really thick, heavy depression, and to the point where I was literally in the 24-hour fitness parking lot at 24 years old, right across the street. I was in there, and
the one right here.
Yeah, I just remember sitting there, looking in the mirror, with this blank look on my face, because I had decided that when I walked out to the car, I was going to put a bullet in my head. 24 years old. I was just tired of life. Like my pastor, he was like the glue that held my family together, or he's the glue that held our church together. And growing up, I grew up Pentecostal, so like my life was deeply rooted into church and family. Well, then whenever my mom and dad got divorced, or my pastor died, my mom and dad got divorced, me and my girl broke up at the time, and then my mom took my sisters. I have 3 sisters. My mom took 2 of my sisters and moved away. And so everything that I had known from family and church,
dude, your world shattered.
Within 6 months, it's just gone. And how do you figure that out? How do you navigate through that? I didn't know how. The only thing that I knew was go to the gym. And hopefully going to the gym would produce some sort of comfort and make me feel better, in which a lot of ways, whenever like I turned away from, I don't want to say I turned away from God, but I was mad because I was the guy that was like, okay, but in the Bible, it says if you do A, B, C, and D, that should produce this result. And I did do A, B, C, and D, but it didn't produce the desired result. The outcome wasn't what I wanted. And instead, what the outcome was extreme depression and extreme darkness and extreme sadness. And so instead of like running toward God, I ran away and basically like cursed God and was angry at him because I did what I was supposed to do. How could this happen? I literally remember being outside, looking up at the stars, screaming and yelling at God. Like, why did this happen? It wasn't until later on that I realized why it happened. But in that moment, you just, this deep, dark cloud was hovering over my head. And now, on top of all of that, me and at the time where I wanted to kill myself, me and my wife at the time were going through divorce. And so tack that on top of all of this other stuff. So here I am in the 24-hour fitness parking lot. I'm looking in the mirror. And I remember being on the seated calf machine. I know, right? Calves.
Oh, yeah.
Just wear pants.
Yeah.
Not all of us can have calves like Kevin. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking in the mirror, and I just remember this blank look on my face. And it was almost like I didn't even recognize the person that was staring back at me. And I just remember going out to my car. I remember sitting in my car. I remember grabbing my 9mm. And I remember it was like a Rascal Flatts song came on the radio. And I just remember closing my eyes with tears streaming down my face. And I was crying my eyes out. I took a big, deep breath. I put one in the chamber because, a lot of people, when it comes to like depression or sadness, they talk about how they want to kill themselves. And in reality, if somebody wants to kill themselves, you just find them dead.
Yeah, they're just going to do it.
There's no cry for help for somebody who's really serious. You just find them dead.
Mhm.
And so there was no, back then, this is 2011, so there was no like social media. I mean, the presence,
I think,
it wasn't strong.
Yeah, no.
Facebook was still for college kids and stuff like that.
MySpace was like on its
That
way
was a
out.
big, yeah. That was a big deal. And then
My-
they had Body Space.
See, I didn't even know
Body Space was for people who worked out. So it was Body Space for people who worked out. Yeah, on bodybuilding.com.
Okay.
That's how far I go back.
Yeah, that's bro. That's a
So I just remember sitting there in my car, and I remember taking a big deep breath, and I racked one, and then right whenever I went to put it to my head, my buddy's wife just so happened to be driving by the gym, 11 o'clock at night, and only thing that I remember was my door opened, and this person reached in and grabbed me by my head, pulled me out of the car, and she held me, and I cried on her chest. Like just cried and cried and cried, and she just held me. That was the first time in 6 months that I felt like somebody actually cared, that somebody actually like was interested in what was going on in my life. And like I snapped out of it after like a few minutes, and then I remember sitting in my car, and her and her husband were like, "You're coming to stay with us tonight." So like I drove over there and I stayed with them. But as I'm sitting there thinking about what just happened, I was like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know her. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know any of you guys.
Yeah.
And there's so many times that I walk into this gym and I see all of the people, like the husbands and wives that met in my gym. There's probably 7 or 8 couples that met in the gym since I've owned it, and they've gotten married, they've had children, and I've always wondered, like, there's probably once a month where I come in and I'll get kind of emotional because I can't believe that I own the gym, or I can't believe
where it happened.
yeah,
no.
and I can't believe that like across the street, I almost took my own life because of not knowing how to navigate through my emotions and my feelings. And also like it was in that moment too, whenever like my head was cleared and I went to my buddy and his wife's house, it was in that moment that I said to myself, I would never, ever, ever, ever knowingly allow somebody to be that sad and not check in on them. So like in the gym, one of the things we always say is hugs and high fives. So, I see the same faces all the time. Like you and I talked about this earlier, but like you get to know people, you get to know their mannerisms. Like you'd mentioned my eyes, you get to know people. And when you see them, you're like, hey man, how's it going? And if you're, oh, I'm doing great. If it's not the same,
No.
I'll ask twice. And then I'll go, look, I can tell you're off. Just tell me what's going on. I'm not going to beg you. And then if they're like, oh, well, then I'll go grab them and I'll hug them and I'll be like, 20 seconds. And I'll start counting down in their ear because there's that science that says if you hug somebody for like 20 seconds, your oxytocin starts to come up, and then these chemicals or these things start happening in your body, and your body starts to flood itself with feel-good molecules or the endorphins that make you feel good. So if I can see somebody that's been struggling in the gym, I'll go hug them for 20 seconds. I won't let them go until they tell me they feel better. But like certain things happen, and that moment in my life when that person grabbed me and pulled me out of the car, I decided that in that moment I would never allow somebody to feel as low as I felt in that moment. And if that wouldn't have happened, I don't know that I would be the person that I am today. and you don't really like in the moment you don't really recognize or even understand why this is happening. It's often later on in life when you look back and you go, ah. So
it's the aha moment. Yeah.
so for you guys that are listening, you might be thinking that why me? Why am I struggling? Why is this thing happening to me? And I'm just here to tell you that it's like any wall. You just have to go around it or put your head down and go through it. But when a deep, dark sadness, depression, loneliness, whatever it is hitting you, you have to make a conscious effort and decision to work through that. Because if you don't, you will live the same day every single day for the rest of your life, and you'll be 90 years old still struggling with depression because you didn't take the necessary steps to take to talk to somebody, reach out to a friend, go get a therapist, go get help. You didn't do what it was necessary to help you overcome your struggles. And we all need, I mean, the reason why the gym is such a great community, I mean, I've always felt like the gym is the best community. It's because I get to meet people like you and Sasha. Shout out to Sasha, Kevin's wife. Anyways, I get to meet people like you. And if I'm struggling with something, dude, I get to talk to you. And you know, a lot of dudes and a lot of people don't really have or don't feel like they have an outlet because talking is soft, or talking or crying is considered. Well, I mean, you've heard it too. Growing up when you're young, stop crying. Boys don't cry.
Mhm.
Well, when you're a little boy and you're taught to like bottle that up and don't let that out and don't cry, you carry that with you. And then that little boy becomes that grown man.
Well, it's muscle memory
Yeah.
because you grow up with it. You just have a hard time letting it go.
Yeah.
And you know, like I was telling you earlier, no one teaches you how to navigate these waters.
That's right.
They just tell you to.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
Like
not
that-
how that's not how that works.
Like I'm
guy.
trying. I'm trying.
You know,
Just get over it. I'm trying to get over it, but it's how.
yeah.
How do I get over it? And those are the important things that people need to take the steps for is how do I get over this traumatic thing that happened in my life? And you know, over the years, it's really having people that you trust and a really small circle of people that you love and trust that you can call and say that you can make a conscious decision and call and say, hey, there's a Simon Sinek. You know, have you ever heard of Simon Sinek?
Mhm.
He's really, really good. They used to own like a marketing company, and then they switched over to basically they teach corporations how to train your employees so that they
Oh.
can properly be good. Basically teaching managers and owners how to properly teach your employees so that you can get the most out of them.
It's teach the teacher.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. And one of the things he said was like 8 minutes with a friend. If you're struggling or sad, if you could spend 8 minutes with a friend in talking, then a lot of times the things that you're struggling with tend to kind of not feel so heavy and they can dissipate. So one of the things
Oh,
he
wait,
says,
is this the dude with the glasses?
Yes.
Okay, I know.
and one of the things he says is that him and his friends will say, hey, do you have 8 minutes? Instead of saying, hey, I'm struggling, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm lonely, whatever, I need you, they'll say, hey, do you have 8 minutes? And that's code for I need you. I need an ear. I need something. And so those are the things that it's who do you have that you can go to? And we talked about this before we came on the camera. It's, you know, there's a video that came out, or it's a reel, and it's a really popular reel. And it's this girl, she asked all these different men, who do you go to when you're struggling? Who do you go to whenever you're depressed or sad? And all these guys said, no one. I'm a man. No one. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a choice. That is a choice to deal with depression by staying quiet, by staying to yourself, by being really reserved and like just completely disassociating yourself with reality and trying to deal with it on your own by going to for me, my dealing with it was always going to the gym. So even though I was struggling, it would produce a positive outcome because, oh, I PR'd on deadlift today, or I PR'd on squat
Well,
today,
hell, it's a good motivator.
or whatever. Yeah, depression and anger. Like people used to always say, like, what do you drink for pre-workout? And I would go, nothing. I'm just angry.
Yeah.
I just think of
caffeine,
anger.
caffeine and hatred. bro.
Caffeine and anger. That was my pre-workout. And for a long time, it actually worked until I got to being 30 and I started really, and I'm 40. So I started dealing with a lot of my like sadness and grace. And, you know, growing up in church, especially Pentecostal church, like the way that I was brought up, like my mom and my mom's side of the family was super religious. My dad loves Jesus, and I wouldn't say he's necessarily religious, even though we all went to church together. My dad was, I would say, more spiritual, but my mom was more religious, meaning like legalistic and more like, okay, this is what the church says, but this isn't necessarily what the Bible says. So growing up, it was like, don't cuss, don't drink, don't have premarital sex, don't do drugs, don't do any of that stuff, because if you did, you were going to go to hell. Well, as a young man, when you're told going to the movies, like all that stuff, and so it was a pretty when you're told if you do these specific things, you will go to hell. You like, I didn't know and understand what grace meant for 35 years, 33 years of my life. And so for the longest time, I would do my very best to be perfect. And then if I messed up, if I like met a girl and we messed around, well, that to me made me feel like I was going to go to hell. So then I would try to be perfect for as long as it took, so that maybe Jesus would love me again. Maybe he would forgive me if I was perfect this time. And so I carried that with me until I was 33 years old. And it didn't matter how many thousands of church services I went to. It didn't matter how many preaching videos I listened to. It didn't matter how many pastors I heard. What actually like helped me understand grace and forgiveness was the movie The Shack. Have you ever heard of it?
The what?
It's the movie. It's also a book. There's a movie and it's called The Shack. But it's a big thick book too. But in the movie, at the very beginning of the movie, this guy, he's kind of like, his wife is really big into God and religion and Jesus, and they call him Papa. And I mean, I might even get emotional talking about this. So in the movie, they're like, so they go off in a lake, and so the wife had to stay behind for work. So its father took his 3 kids. One of them is like 9 to 12 years old, and the other 2 are like 15, 16 teenagers. And so his youngest, she was inside the RV, and he tells the other 2 older kids, "Hey, you guys, let's get ready. We're about to leave and go back home. So you guys get ready." And so they go get in a canoe, and they're on the lake. He's like, "Come on, we got to go." So his little one is in the RV. And so all of a sudden he looks up and the canoe flips over. Well, the little girl pops up under the water, but his son is trapped underneath the canoe. And so he's like drowning. And so the dad leaves the 9-year-old, takes off running down the dock, dives in the dock, and like grabs the little boy, pulls him out. He's giving him CPR, and he brings him back, and then they're fine. Well, then he goes back to the RV and can't find his little girl. Somebody abducted his little girl. And then this search went on. Now it's a really, really good movie, so it kind of sounds like it's not gory at all. But like, I sat in the movie theater and cried the whole, like, you ever get one of those, like, you're about to cry, and you know that if you just breathe, it's not going to be a sigh, it's going to be, that's what I felt the whole movie. So anyways.
Holding your breath so it
the
doesn't
holding,
come out.
yeah, because I didn't want it to cry out. Because, as dudes, right?
Yeah, no.
Don't cry. Here I am, this 33-year-old man with muscles crying in the movie theater. And it was like nuts. So anyways, so the guy, so they do this nationwide or this citywide manhunt, and then they find her dead body. And she'd been like murdered. And he, like, you thought he had a problem with God before, now he hates God. And so then he gets like this letter in the mail, and it says, "Meet me at the shack," or something along those lines. Well, he thinks it's the killer. So he takes a gun and he shows up to the shack, and he's trying to find what he thinks is the person who killed his daughter. And so it's like it's winter and it's really, really cold outside. And so then nobody's there, and he's yelling at God. Then he leaves. Well, as he's leaving, this really handsome Middle Eastern man comes walking like through, like you can see him, and he's got like blue jeans on and a short shirt, like a short sleeve shirt. Now, mind you, it's winter. In this scene, it's winter. But as this guy is walking through, he walks through the wintry trees, and then before you know it, it's summer now. And then the guy's like looking around, and then the guy that he was following, who he thought was the guy that killed his daughter, turns out to be Jesus. So it's Jesus, and then it's God, and then so God comes to him in the form of 4 different people to try to heal his broken heart. He comes to him in the form of a black woman. He comes to him in the form of the Holy Spirit is like this pretty Asian lady. Then he comes to him in the form of Jesus, which is this, handsome Middle Eastern man. And then he comes to him in the form of an Indian, which is like this father type figure.
Mm.
But all different parts of that movie, God needed to present himself in a way that was going to be loving and caring and forgiving. And the whole movie was them trying to get this guy to forgive the man that murdered his daughter. Because they understood.
Like, that's a tall order. But
I mean, like, I get chills talking about it, because one of the parts in there, like, all throughout the movie, like, if you haven't watched it, it's one of my favorite movies. I probably watched it 100 times. And every time I've watched it, I've teared up, and it's healed something in me every single time. And I just remember like watching that movie, and for the first time I understood grace. And I understood grace and forgiveness. Because there was a part in that movie where like the Indian man says, this whole time you've needed somebody loving, so you got her. You needed somebody nice, a friendly face, so you got Jesus. But today you need a father, because what we're going to do today is not going to be easy. And so he took him to the place where the little girl was murdered. And he sits there on the rock and he says, you're going to have to forgive him. And the guy says, forgive him? I can't forgive him. And he was like, he did this. And he says, you might have to forgive him 1,000,000 times, but forgiving him doesn't mean the offense didn't happen. Forgiving him doesn't mean that the offense didn't happen. It just means that you're letting go of his throat. And how many times, if like in our lives, did somebody do something to us or say something to us, and we didn't want forgiveness, we wanted revenge. We weren't going to be happy until we got revenge. But even then, how many times have you ever gotten revenge on somebody and that felt okay?
Yeah.
None of it is okay. And so like there was so much stuff that I had built up in my life, that listening to all this stuff, that I'm just like releasing it in this movie theater. And I'm at Cinemark crying, and I just bawling my eyes out, and I just like, drinking my Coke Zero and crying my eyes out and eating my popcorn.
Oh man, I can only imagine trying to drink that soda while you're crying.
If you've never seen the movie, dude, you gotta watch it. It is there's so much positive meanings in that movie. It's incredible. There's one of my favorite parts of that whole movie was towards the end. He has to meet the judgment of God. So he's dealing with like hard God, like in the beginning of the Bible God, like we're destroying this whole city. So
that Old Testament.
Yes,
stuff, yeah.
So it's like Old Testament God. So he goes into this mountain. Jesus takes him to this mountain. He says, you're going to have to do this on your own. So he goes up into the mountain, and God is in the form of like a judge, but it's a woman, and she's sitting on this throne, and she says, you think it's easy to be me? You think it's easy for me to do all this stuff? He goes like, yeah. She goes, okay, well then you come up here and you sit on my throne. So she comes down, and then he goes up there and he sits there. And so then God pulls up his daughter and pulls up his son. And he goes, you hate him because he murdered your daughter. But what about your son? Your son's a liar. Your son sneaks out every night. Your son does this. Your son does that. He goes, does he deserve forgiveness? Yeah, he deserves forgiveness. But what about your daughter? Your daughter does this. She does this. She does this. You don't even know about that, do you? And he was like, no. He goes like, no, that's not okay. And he goes like, if it's so easy for you to send people, if you think it's so easy for me to send people to heaven or send people to hell, do it now. Tell me, you must decide where your kids go. Do they go to heaven or do they go to hell? And just like in the Bible, the Father is sitting on the throne, and he steps down and he says, take me instead. And like so like in the Bible, whenever God sends Jesus and then we crucify him, that's basically signifying the whole thing. There's so many things in that movie that are just like, like it literally will heal something different in you every time you watch it, because it deals with all that stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like it changes perspective pretty good.
For sure.
And that's what we were talking about before we started. Just like language, it's just like eyesight. It's your perspective. How are you seeing things?
Yeah.
Well, depending on how we're talking, you may see things a little differently, right?
For sure.
So, like us as dudes, we don't. I say we don't, but it's one of those. hey, are you okay? And they say, no one wants to really hear that thing. That's like our issue as men, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that. But imagine I was like, hey, stupid, I know something's wrong. What's up?
Oh yeah, man, I'm struggling.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah,
like, yeah,
it's the
no,
delivery.
yeah, it's the delivery. But now we sound like men. We sound
Yeah,
like
yeah,
boys, right?
yeah.
So now it's might be a little easier to get that out of you,
That's true.
you know.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
and it's a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's the that's what the way we can change our language to talk to another man.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, to get them to open up the way a dude would,
yeah.
right? Because sometimes to get another guy to open up, sometimes you got to piss them off.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
When they have the crash out, that's when they, they start to tell you a little bit. I've been dealing with this, and this.
Oh, now we're getting somewhere.
And it's like, well, who knows? Well, these are my problems. Yeah, I know, but you're standing in front of me, letting it out.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things for verbiage. Is what draws it out of people.
Yeah, yeah.
And what we were going to get into is like the things that I learned when I was in the military, and what I was getting at was the argument that I get into with Sasha when it comes to this. It's I would say the common term, and I don't like it. Maybe it's the dude in me, and maybe just because my definition is different. But she calls it being vulnerable, or the mental health community in general calls it that, right? I just call it being honest.
Vulnerable. Now that you say it like that, vulnerable sounds like a feminine.
It
feminine
sounds
word.
Yeah, it sounds soft.
Yeah.
And I know it's not. I know I know it has a definition. I know what it means, but no one wants to hear it that way.
Right.
Now, when I say something's being honest, I'm like, I can tell you these things and keep my eye on you. I'm like, I can be honest and vigilant at the same time.
Yeah.
I can air out my heart to you, but I'm watching you.
Right.
It's like they say, Letty, you want to call it a castle. Cool. We built the walls, right?
Right.
To keep people out, keep some stuff in. Well, you can open the door. Let them in. That doesn't mean your guards are not doing the job.
That's correct.
They're just inside now.
Yeah.
And, she goes on to say, well, it's called that because you're releasing this information to somebody and you don't know what they might do with it. Well, to me, it's if you've been honest the whole time, I don't think they can use it against you.
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at with the whole thing that I learned in the military. It was like, you can do everything right and things can still go wrong.
That's right.
Second thing is, you can't get mad at somebody who doesn't know if no one ever taught them.
Correct.
It makes no sense. And she laughs at the story because I think it's funny. You say it out loud, anyone's going to think it's funny. I was told that as an adult, you are going to shit your pants 3 times. Minimum.
Yeah.
And they're like, when you get to that third one is when you reach adulthood. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's great advice.
And I was like, how?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we're in the field. Do not tell me that.
Yeah.
But the whole meaning behind that one was you stop being embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's what holds a lot of people, especially men, back. It's the embarrassment.
Or fear of what is somebody going to think about me. Shame.
Exactly.
If I expose myself, vulnerability, if I expose what's going on in my life, what is this person going to think, or what are these people going to think?
I have to.
I actually struggled with that, like what people think about me for like a long time too.
And it's a made up argument in your head because none of it could be real.
And 9 times out of 10, most of it's not. Like you're literally having these thoughts and these conversations that you're going to have with this person when you see them tomorrow in the shower, and you're like, I'm going to tell them this and this and this, and then whenever I say this, they're going to say it back to me, and then you're literally going back and forth. That doesn't even happen. most of the time it doesn't even happen. I was the king of doing that, creating these conversations and creating these scenarios of things that I knew were going to happen that never
That
happened.
never happened.
Never happened.
Yeah, you're telling me, man.
And
I'm
you're
still
like,
trying to win arguments with Sasha
and
in
you're
the
like,
shower.
and you're like making up this thing, and then that a part of mental health. That's a whole nother scenario of you making up this stuff that you know deep down in your heart that's going to happen, and it never does.
And it never does.
Never does.
Yeah, it's super odd, man, because once again, it's perception, right? How did you see that? And then your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to lose that fight, where it's, well, why did they look at me like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Where were you? Well, I was in the gym. Yeah, but where? Right there in the middle. Okay, they were gonna see you, guy. You were in the middle of the turf.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have to. How? Like you were in the way? Were you in the way? Did they say anything?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Did they walk around you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it shouldn't have escalated to anything like that.
I think, as we're talking about like mental health, and one of the things I want to like reiterate or even say is, like, whenever I had that depression and anger and all that, like, there were steps that I took that I didn't even realize that I was taking those steps to shield my heart and and like help heal the brokenness that was inside me. So one of the ways that I basically shielded my heart and my life was when I would train people, I would say things to them that I knew that I needed to hear. And saying it out loud,
mirroring, yeah.
And saying it out loud to another person who might be struggling, it started to like heal things that were broken in me. And then you do that enough. And I always tell people that, like, when you're struggling with something, if you could just encourage other people, if you could encourage somebody or love on somebody or motivate or build somebody up, whatever you're struggling with, if you would just push that to the side for just a minute and just start to love on someone else and hug on someone else or encourage someone else, you start to find out, because you start to hear these people, those problems that you thought were so bad, you tend to find out that those problems we're talking about perspective. A few years ago, I was the girl that I was dating at the time. I pulled into the HEB parking lot, and I was kind of like teary-eyed, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Why is it that my mom and dad didn't push me when I was in high school? Why didn't they push me to do a better job? Why didn't they tell me that they believed in me and that you're so good at football that you could go play college football? Why did it take a complete stranger I didn't even know when I was 26 years old come into my life and tell me the words, 'You deserve the best that life has to offer'?" Those words changed my life at a very crucial time in my life. Why did it take a stranger telling me that you deserve the best? At the time, I didn't even think about having the best, much less deserving the best. So I'm sitting here in the HEB parking lot, and I'm sitting here saying, why didn't my parents tell me that I deserve the best? You know what her response was? I wasn't really looking for anything. I was just talking to my partner at the time. And her perspective was, at least you had parents. I didn't even know my dad. So here I am struggling. We're talking about perspective. The way that you're raised, it's like you have these goggles. And the way that you're raised is the way that you view the world, even though the world may not be the way that you were raised. You might just think it's that way because that's the only thing that you know. So here I was thinking perspective for me was, why didn't my parents, who were together, who loved me, why didn't my parents say these things to me? And then her perspective was, at least you had parents. She didn't even know her dad. And her mom was not a very good person. So it's like the perspective of those things is, we can sit here and cry and be sad and be angry and mad about a certain situation until you realize, oh, this person's situation was way worse than mine.
Yeah.
And it's like perspective. I'm a huge believer in anything negative, bad, whatever it is that's going on in your life. If you could view it through the lens of something else, it can completely change your life, because you can sit there and go, I'm going to view this, or like racism, for instance. There's so many people that they focus on racism So throughout the days that you're going, that's all you'll focus. If you focus on racism, you will see, oh, that's racist, or that's racist, or that's racist. But if you focus on opportunity, you'll see opportunity here, you'll see opportunity here, you'll see opportunity here. Tony Robbins was interviewing Theo Vaughn in a podcast one time.
Oh,
You remember this?
Yep.
And he says, look around the room. And he goes, and I want you to tell me all the brown things. Theo Vaughn looks around the room and he goes, okay, how many things did you spot that were brown? And he was like, oh, this. And he goes, you spotted those because I told you to look for brown things. Now, what about the red things? He goes, you didn't see anything, did you? He goes, why? Because you weren't looking for it.
Yep.
And a lot of times,
there's only a problem
if
when you
you're
look for
sad, you will look for the sad things. If you're mad, you'll find yourself living in that and being angry and mad, and then you will spot all the mad. And then that turns to negativity and disappointment or whatever. So one of the challenges that I have for you guys who might be listening is if you are feeling down, out, sad, angry, mad, whatever it is, you have to change the way that you're viewing that situation. One of the things I heard somebody say one time is you cannot be both thankful and sad at the same time. So if you find yourself being angry, mad, sad, whatever it is, I want you to close your eyes and just give thanks for even the smallest thing. God, I thank you for air. I thank you that you woke me up today. I'm thankful that I have a car. I'm thankful that I can flip a switch and electricity comes on. I'm thankful that I can walk over to a tap that has water that I can turn it and it comes out. Because if you go anywhere else in the world, it's not like that. Like if you own a car, you're considered one of the most richest people on the planet. But because we live in the United States and we view the world through this thing that we have in the United States, we think that like, though, oh, my life sucks. But in reality, you got to have water. A shower wasn't even a thing until the 1950s. So you can go home, and turn on hot water and the water's hot and you can take a shower. You can go get in your bed. Now, I know some of you might be listening and go, well, yeah, but I'm on the verge of being homeless. Yeah. How many people out there? There are certain people out there that would love to live underneath a bridge, but they can't because the perspective of them is they're living out in the middle of the forest. Like there's certain things that you can do and there's certain things that you can say that would change the way that your perspective is. But the problem is what does your surroundings look like? And the reason why most people stay stuck, I say this all the time. A lot of people die in their early 20s. They just don't bury them till in their 70s or 80s because your hopes and dreams and desires will die in your young age because you talked to the wrong person and you told somebody your dreams and this person shot down your dreams. Well, there's a lot of times God doesn't give your dreams. God's not going to give my dreams to you, Kevin, and vice versa. God's not going to give me your dreams. Because if I was to share my dreams with you, there's day and night where I think about my dreams. Well, if I mention it to you, you don't think about my dreams day and night like I do. But if I mention it to you, you might go, that's not a good idea. But I've thought through all those things. And there's been a lot of times where I've trusted the wrong person, been vulnerable with the wrong person, and I've shared something with them and them just destroy my idea. And then I didn't do it. And then a few months go by and I just can't stop thinking about it. And I can't stop thinking about it. And then eventually I go, okay, screw it, I'm going to do it. And then I do it and then it winds up being great. I mean, the gym, for example, is one of those things. Like one of my mentors straight up told me whenever we were going from little small sanctuary, 5,000 square feet to 20,000 square foot here doing a podcast with Kevin, he said, if you go over there, you will not be successful. It's too much of a hike. You can't go from $3,800 a month in rent to $24,000 a month in rent. It's impossible. You will fail. Those were the words that he said to me. And this was my mentor. Well, what he didn't realize is I didn't need to do $24,000 a month. I already trained and I was making at the time, I was doing around 15 grand a month in personal training. And I had 500 people that we were doing about 30 grand a month. So I didn't need to come up with $24,000 a month. I was already making it. He didn't know that. And so whenever I came over here and we made it happen and all of the things that we've done in the last 10 years since we've been here, he told me the other day, I was talking to him because he's been my client for 10 years. I was talking to him the other day about something and I was basically saying, hey, like, I want to do this. What do you think about this? And his exact words to me were, I have learned not to bet against you. So if you want to do that, I stand behind you 100%.
I said, me and you have some in common. You asked, why didn't they do this? Well, my version of that was, why wasn't she as supportive? You know, why weren't they as supportive? Why did they want me to do this instead?
Yeah.
Why didn't they think I could do XYZ? And at first it feels heartbreaking.
Oh, it does.
It's demoralizing.
Especially when it's the people you love.
Yeah. And those are the people that are supposed to make you feel safe.
That's right.
But that is like, oh, it's a jab right to the gut. It's not even with a knife, it's with a thumb, just so you can feel it, and it's like, fuck, man. And it's one of those moments that makes you feel really, really alone. Because it's like, why weren't my parents encouraging?
Yep.
Only they can answer that.
Yep.
But back to the whole giving grace thing, they may have not known any better either.
That's true.
So it's like, well, how were their parents? Well, to them, it was probably backbreaking work from here till the day you die.
Yeah, because at the time, I mean, you're in the 50s, 40s, 30s.
You tell me who in the 40s and 50s wanted to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
We had a
completely different NFL in the 50s and 40s.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah.
Where they would say the epitome of man. You were working, and then you were off to war, and then you came back doing man shit.
Yeah.
Okay, like I tell people, what got me into the military was how old was I? Oh, little kid. My dad told me, who I saw very, very little, was like, you need to go into the military when you grow up. It'll make you a man.
So those words.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, cool.
That must be true. Dad said it.
Well, they must be true. I just saw Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was in the Army Special Forces, take on this alien.
Yeah.
All right, But
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, something, right? And then 9/11 happened.
Yep.
And I was like, someone needs to pay. Obviously, I'm too young. My time's coming. Now, crunch time's coming around 2010, 2011, when I'm fixing to go in.
Yeah.
And now my dad's shitting a brick. I was like, what's the problem? You wanted this. I'm like, I thought it was the proper thing to do, not only because, we're men, it's what we do. But also, like, that's what you do for your country,
That's right?
It's the right thing to do. But just those words that he told me back, shit. I can't even put an age on how young I was, because I was little. But I carried that throughout, and then I was just like, I was wrong.
Yeah.
That those words were wrong. But to somebody at one point, they were true.
For sure.
Because that's all they knew.
One of the things that, like, if you don't listen to anything that I say, if none of the words that I said in this, like, you can resonate with, this is the one thing that I want you to hear. My biggest pet peeve with people is people that listen to reply rather than listening to understand. And I think the world that we live in, I think the world that we live in, that's the number one problem. We don't listen to understand your perspective and your point of view. We listen to reply. And 90% of the time, like, if I'm talking to somebody, there's like a certain people, they will interrupt me what I'm about to say because they stopped listening to me 47 seconds ago, and they're just waiting for me to shut up so they can say what they want to say. They can get it off their chest. And how can you ever understand anybody if you're just waiting for them to shut up so that you can talk? Instead of listening to somebody, hearing the hurt in their voice, hearing the sadness, the loneliness, hearing whatever's going on in their heart, hearing that and understanding and saying, hey, I'm with you. I understand.
Or I get it. No,
yeah, that is my biggest. So if you're out there and you're constantly wondering, why don't my kids listen? Or why are my kids listening? That's because you don't understand them. Why does my husband not do what I ask him to do? Why is my wife not paying attention? Why is this? Why is this? Why do my coworkers not do what I ask them to? It is because you don't understand your audience. You are just busy talking at people instead of listening to understand.
Yeah, that is.
The
I
the
agree with
world the
you.
world revolves around assumptions. Assuming you're going to do this or say this if I do this or say this. There's a book that you should all go out and read called The Four Agreements. That one of the things on there is never make assumptions. Well, the world is based off of assumptions. If we go get this oil from Venezuela, China will do this because we have intelligence and we're assuming that it's going to happen. Or if the the trade towers got hit, well, we're assuming that it was Osama bin Laden, so we're going to go attack them for 20 years. Like the world revolves around assumptions. So like we as people literally just we listen to somebody, and right when we hear what we want to hear, we cut off any type of listening. So therefore, there can be no understanding because we're ready to talk and we want to get our point across. And I just challenge you, like if you're talking to a friend, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a coworker, or somebody, shut up and listen to them talk because you can hear their heart and you can hear everything that's going on with people if you just shut up and listen. Just shut up and listen. There's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Close your mouth, open both of your ears, and listen. And you can find, like you always hear people say, I had no idea he was suicidal. And I could promise you, if you were to go back and rewind,
There were
signs were everywhere.
Yep.
You were just too busy talking and not spending enough time listening. So, with all this talking that we've been saying, when it comes to mental health, how in the world can people, men, women, how can people set their lives up for success to overcome those challenges? What are those things? What's step one?
Well, to me, it's for one, talking.
Step one is this.
The honesty, the talking back and forth, right? Because that's what I was going to say. What I was like, I agree with you 100% because it's understanding each other, right? You learn how to talk from your parents because those are the people you listen to growing up, right? So if there was no effective communication, then the understanding was never going to be there.
Right.
There's just what one person says and that's it, right? When it best case scenario is I'm trying to describe it in a understandable way because it's like some people call it emotional intelligence, right? You can read the room and you understand your placement in the room, right? Well, that's why they call them emotionally unavailable, and men go together like
yeah.
Sadly, but it's true. But that's because we were told to shut the fuck up, which means we can't talk. Don't do that. You're a man. Right? So we're not effective talkers.
Correct.
And then you have people that, especially when people wanted to work in a relationship, they don't know how to talk to each other, and they make decisions before they learn how to understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's in my opinion, that's the shittiest part. Like, they call that, the love language. Well, so I remember hearing somebody, and they summarized it pretty good. When you're speaking someone's a love language, you have to respond in their love language, not yours.
Right.
But then I was like, to me, I'm like, that's a half truth. Because if they know yours, then they understand that you're trying.
Right.
It's just in their way.
Yeah.
Right. So, we'll say here, love language is, here's an energy drink. Well, you don't drink energy drinks. And you're just going to be like, dude, I don't drink this.
Right. This means nothing.
Yeah.
This gesture.
But then it's like.
But you tried.
But then it's, he thought of me before he showed up.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? And it's like, well, that's called consideration. Not everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
That goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where me and the wife were like, well, that's standard. It's standard to us. How many people get married 10, 20, 30 years, and they still don't know how to talk to each other?
Oh, a lot.
Because they don't talk.
Yeah. And they're not friends. That's important.
Yeah.
like you don't see too many relationships. Like my girl's my best friend. Like there'll be times like there's no place that I would go that I wouldn't want her with me.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
And you hear, and I have a rule, and it's like, don't ask me to go somewhere if you're gonna tell me, if you're gonna follow it up with, oh, your girl can't come. Well, then I'm not coming,
yeah,
because like my girl's my best friend. Like wherever I go, I want her with me. I want her to be there
well,
because
there the rule of thumb is they should like her too,
yeah,
right? But you know, it goes, like I said, it goes back to the communication, because now if they don't know how to talk in those circles, it's already there.
right,
You're trying to say it, they're not trying to hear it. You know, and some people, and this is I would say the most important part would be the effort into wanting to understand. You have the language. We both speak the English language, but are we speaking it are we speaking our dialect to each other correctly? Because in my opinion, shit. So sometimes I don't even have to say anything for her to understand. Right here, and the whole conversation happens, not a word was said.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I will toot my own horn on that one, like, or our horn, because it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you've been through natural disasters,
yeah,
heavy fights, financial problems, death in the family, separation from the family, career changes. Like, yeah, that's called the suck.
yeah. Embrace.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, in the military, that's called trauma bonding.
Yeah,
And then I find out that no, that's what it's called everywhere. It's not
yeah,
just
yeah,
here.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah. But then, you know, your conversational skills get better. And me, dude, I'm a talker. I get it.
Yeah, same.
But how many people don't open up to you?
You know, for me, people are pretty much an open book with me, and I think a lot of that comes from trusting. Like, but also
you
too,
showed it first.
yes.
Is what I'm saying.
Like I've always, I'm kind of an open book. Right now, I'm like, as I've gotten older, I'm very open with any type of struggle that I've ever had, because when you show vulnerability and you show openness, people also show openness too. Like, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's like how I am on social media. That's how I am in real life.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Like I'm not one way in person, and then on social media I'm completely different. I'm the same whether you see me at HEB, church, here. Like I try to be.
well, that's how it should be,
Yeah.
because I shouldn't be seeing personas.
Yeah.
I should see Jonathan,
Right.
and that's how it is, how it should be with everyone. Like, the only time I may switch it up is if I'm at work and something's happening with a little kid
Yeah.
or a family, right?
Oh, but that's tough to see at work.
Yeah, it can be. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing, and so and two, I'm very open about it. Me and my captain have this thing, man. Me and Sasha joke about it, where it's like he's my work wife, right? Because we talk.
Good.
And if you were part of my crew, we would sit you down. Hey, man, what's going on? And they're like, well, we know someone's bothering you. We know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Well, this and that. Like, well, that happens. You need to see it. These things happen. It's either going to make you better or make you worse. Just know that if I don't see improvement, and that's where my honesty comes in, because it's like, just know we can't protect you 100% of the time. This might not be the spot for you. But if you feel like you can improve, and it'll make you one of those, you always want to help, and it makes you learn things and pay attention and all that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Where we see it. All right. I'm like, this is an open table. We talk. Fuck that. And some of the things you hear come out at that table, you're like,
I bet there's people talking about things that happened years ago.
They bring it up, and I was like, I didn't know that. Well, it's like, okay, but then the moment they work with us, they say it. So it's like there's something to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, like our department does well keeping up with its people. Everyone here needs help for a different reason. Just know you need help. sometimes just talking to us at the table, just talking right here might be enough. Right? Doesn't mean you're broken. You offload and you're good to go.
Yeah.
But some people don't even let it get to that point. I was like, dude, that problem could have stopped right here. We tell people, say it out loud.
There's power in saying it out loud.
Say it out loud. Does it sound ridiculous still? No. Then it's probably an actual fucking issue.
Yeah.
But some people don't even get to that part. Right? I started doing the videos of me sitting at the gym, just talking and all that. Dude, that became like my video diary.
Oh, yeah.
You know, being demoralized from injuries or having issues from back then and all that. Like, it's helped me. Some people do it journaling. I'm like, I'm not a poet, guy.
Yeah.
I have terrible handwriting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and do this, but I can talk into a screen and call it good.
Mm-hmm.
And it can validate the feeling. If you told me all of that back then, I'd be like, yeah, you should feel sad.
Yeah.
That is shitty. And then you'd be like, oh, okay. I should be feeling sad. Yeah, absolutely. I'd actually have a problem if you didn't feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, sadness was not something that I really ever dealt with. So it turned into like what I deemed as depression, but it wasn't depression. I was sad because my mom and dad got divorced. I was sad because my sisters, my family moved away, my pastor died, and my girl broke up. I mean, I was sad because of the things that were going on. I just labeled it as I used to struggle with depression. But in reality, I was never depressed. I was sad because of what was going on.
But it's a major bad moment.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The moment can last a while.
Yeah.
But but we also don't want people confusing that bad moment is just a bad moment. It could be something else.
It wasn't a bad life. It was a bad moment. It was what you just said. It was a bad moment that I turned into a bad few years.
Yeah.
And that was a choice. As I'm 40 and looking back, that bad moment was a bad moment that I turned into bad year. Bad moment, bad days, bad weeks, bad months, bad years, when it could have been easily dealt with. Not avoided, dealt with at a much earlier time.
Yeah, you could have nipped it in the butt, but hindsight's always 20/20, right? But these things happen, and it's not just you; they're happening too, right? And it's like, you'll have plenty of people air that out, and sometimes the most relieving thing they can hear is, "Oh, you too?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Fuck you, mean you too?"
That's true.
Oh, well, no, yeah, I was, that happened to me. Oh, well, now we're back to trauma bonding, which sucks, but you can eventually help each other out of that.
Correct.
Because sometimes you might have that friend, hey, man, you go to therapy, I'll go too.
Oh, yeah.
Or you end up in the gym together as workout partners, and you mitigate, but, it can only get you so far.
Correct.
And obviously, it has been a major part of your life for a very long time.
Right.
Some people don't even want to give that a chance or don't believe in it or whatever. It's like the proof is here.
Yeah.
Right? There's plenty. I could probably go out there and grab a random person and ask them, and their answer would probably be the same as ours at one point. This is my therapy. I don't need to go to a...
Right.
The therapist is for people with problems. Therapy is soft. That's for women. A psychiatrist, that's for crazy people. No. They can find them. They can find crazy people, but it could just be a simple problem.
Right.
And it's coming all the way back to the language and all that. They've assigned something to these words that make no sense.
Right.
It's like what did you see that made you think that? And then they can't even pinpoint that. But that's why I said I was call it conversational. We'll just go. But like you were saying, it was the stigma. I like, who started that? Where? Like, especially with like church going folk.
It's really popular. Give it to the Lord. is what you're told in
Well,
church.
not just that,
Just give it to him.
but when you think about it, okay, like a confessional, you air out whatever you think you did wrong,
To your priest.
and then your priest will most likely give you advice. He's not going to be like, "Oh, you're going to hell for." No, he's probably going to give you an answer you needed to hear.
Yeah.
Be like, "Well, how'd you feel about that? How did that make you feel?"
Therapist.
Therapist, like,
He just so happens to wear a cloak.
he that therapist is wearing what you want to see.
Yep.
Sometimes that person's just a person older than you. Most of the time, it is.
Yeah.
Right. That's why our best advices tend to come from people a lot older than us.
Because
They've been there, done that. Once again, you're not the only one. They probably went through it at 24. They were probably broken up with, had some sort of divorce or a failed relationship.
loss of a loved one. Death.
It happens. And how did you get past it? Because you obviously did. You're, 40 years older than me. Oh, well. And then they end up telling you who they talk to, and it's like, okay, you got therapy without calling it that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Correct.
Like in your case, it was here, the gym is a good catalyst. It can help you a lot. Some of the things they teach you in therapy, you will accidentally do.
Yeah.
But you're just learning it the hard way.
That's
right?
true.
As it comes. A therapist is just like a cheat sheet. They'll tell you what might help. And it's like, that's speed dial on, oh, well, this seems to be what's going on. This is how these things will help you mitigate that. You can come back the next time and go, oh, yeah, therapy is not indefinite. It's not forever. You can keep it forever. I advise it, or as long as you need it. But it's not forever. They're coaches.
Yeah.
And
like anything.
Yeah. And then once they know you, they'll know you better than you know yourself. They can probably coach you into something else, right?
Yeah. Or help you navigate through those choppy waters.
Your way.
Mm-hmm.
Once they know you well enough, right? And that's the whole thing. Some people do one thing in therapy and it didn't work. Well, it's not going to work right away, guy. That's not how that works.
Yeah. And you didn't go into it with an open mind, like saying, okay, like there's one time I went to a men's group and I was struggling. I walked in this men's group and I said, look, I know a lot of y'all might have a lot to say, but I'm going to go first. I'm going to go first. And I was very open with that men's group, and come to find out all these other men who probably were struggling too. The group wasn't even about anybody else. Instead, it turned on to just trying to help Jonathan that day. Because I got no problem telling people, hey, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this. A while back, I was talking to like a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about help. Like, people don't like to ask for help. And I think that's crazy. Now that I've gotten older, when I'm 40, I realize that so many people want to help you. They want to help you because they love you. They care about you. They just don't know that you need help. They don't know if you don't ask. And so if you don't communicate, how will they know? If you don't ask, how will they know? If you don't learn how to talk to people, how will anybody know anything? Because we make these assumptions about, but they should know. Yeah. But do they? So like,
it's why do you think they should know?
Yeah.
What signs have you given them? And that's where they're like, oh, you're right. Like
the comedian Chris Rock said something really strong that I just love, and a lot of the advice that I give is based off of this. He said that you'll never see somebody pushing a car on the side of the road by themselves. Why? Because people want to know that you're willing to help yourself first before they jump in and help you.
Mm-hmm.
And in my personal training career, in my gym career, I've learned that a lot of people, there's two different types of people. There are people that really want help, and there are people that want attention. And the people that want attention, it is a never-ending just water flow of water going into an endless pit. It doesn't matter how much water you put into this. It's just it doesn't ever fill up. And if that water pit can't ever fill up, then how can it overflow into other people? So it doesn't matter how much you pour into certain people, because most people, a lot of people want attention. They don't want your help. They want your eyes fixated and focused on them, because it's about me, 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 not how can you help me? It's how can I get your attention and how can I get you to talk? So,
Well,
like
being broken that gets me the attention, not the help.
Yeah, and so like for like in my personal training career and gym career, like man, I struggled with that because I wanted to help everybody. And then one of my mentors says, Jonathan, you need the people that are already working on the people that are already getting therapy, the people that are already working on trying to help themselves, the people that are already going for walks, the people that are already trying to, eat better, the people that are already coming to the gym. Focus on trying to help people that are already working on trying to help themselves, and you'll be more successful because the battle's halfway there. They're already trying. You meet them halfway, help them push the car safely and get them to the direction that they need to go. But working on trying to help people who don't even want to help themselves, they just want your attention. That is a never ending pit.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of those people out there. But, one of the things I was going to say a while back is that's one of those things that happens in therapy and relationships and all that stuff is you got to have to want to do the work first. You have to be willing to do it in order for it to work.
Anything.
And it's weird. A little bit of effort goes a long way.
Long way.
But I know you got to be back pretty early in the morning, so we're going to go ahead and call it quits. Obviously, feel free to come check out this gym. I've been here for a while now, and
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. It was.
I love
it
seeing
was
you
great.
guys.
I thought it was hilarious because the first person I met was Sierra, and it was during COVID.
2020, baby.
Yeah,
Lockdown.
Yeah, and I opened the door, and I forgot I didn't have a mask on, and I went, oh shit, and I slammed the door shut, and I went to put it on, and she's doing this from the front
We
desk.
don't care about that.
Yeah, and I opened. I was like, what's up? And she's like, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
I was like, are you for real?
Yeah. We practice common sense here
Yeah.
during COVID.
And I was like, all right, cool. And I was still so iffy.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and I think I saw you cleaning something up. But everybody was just...
You didn't see the footsteps, social distancing footsteps every 6 feet?
No one had a yardstick, like just jabbing people to sit. No. And you had parking.
Yeah.
You had parking. That's what got me out of that last place.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's been a blast since I've been here. It will continue to be a blast. And, obviously, you are a resource that I have used. Plenty of people here have used. Very open book. Let's get to talking.
Appreciate you, man.
Obviously, conditions are improving, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Always.
Thanks, Kevin.